Godzilla 3, or as I titled it, King of the Earth, Outline Draft 2. This movie takes place after Godzilla vs. Kong and hopefully after a standalone Mothra. This Outline's second draft takes the Godzilla BC Outline into canon. The only change from Godzilla BC I would tweak is instead of killing off Kronos, he is instead launched into space. If you haven't watched the Too Long Didn't Read version of Godzilla BC, watch that video first, linked in the description. The Titans are finally settling down with the new order of Godzilla while finding a balance with Kong. If Mechagodzilla hasn't been introduced in Godzilla vs. Kong, it will make its intro here. This will be a Too Long Didn't Read shortened version. And as of posting this video, Godzilla vs. Kong is still yet to come in another year. The intro starts with Mechagodzilla being introduced. It's being tested with a non-major Titan as a shepherd, trying to keep a Titan from moving into a city. A short fight breaks out as we are introduced to the pilots. The two pilots will be some of the main protagonists, with Monarch's command also playing a vital role in helping out the team. The test results are effective as the Titan becomes less aggressive and begins to pull away. With new Orca tech installed, they are now able to calm down Titans. I'd love to reintroduce Titan Whisperer's concept from the Godzilla BC and have it a gift from Mothra to enable Chen and Ling to understand some of the Titans. They discover that they aren't the only ones. Jonah Allen was able to start up a hidden base and recruit a handful of potential Titan Whisperers. Monarch's goal is to discover these antagonist Whisperers and Jonah's hidden base or bases. As they investigate, they notice Titans are starting to become restless, and we see a Titan, Anguirus, and another kaiju fight an ancient Titan named Caesar. Upon discovery of one of Jonah's bases, they begin to discover a ritual was enacted and that the return of the Allfather is imminent. New technology is discovered. Monarch begins to prepare as Godzilla finds Mechagodzilla. Ling is able to communicate to the team inside the mech that something is coming and is giving a battle cry. From satellite images, they see two incoming targets. One is too far away to see, but the closest one is way faster and looks like it has an abnormal alien shape. We come to see Gigan signed upon Earth. Immediately, Mothra goes to slow down Gigan. Chen calls to Monarch to move at its location. Mothra is beat back, but is soon joined by Rodan. Rodan begins to fight with Gigan, but is killed by Gigan, leaving Mothra to retreat. Ling explains her empathic powers, understanding of the creature, and it's only doing the bidding of its master, and that something else is coming, something stronger. Kronos. As Mechagodzilla and Godzilla and a few other Titans arrive to the strange trumpeting sound coming from the sky for several minutes, Mechagodzilla is able to catch the flying Gigan as it picks on the non-flying kaiju. The skies turn orange and a strange aura fills the sky. The body of Kronos is seen falling as it gets closer to slamming into the ground. It comes to an abrupt halt as the ground around trembles, and we see now codenamed Space Godzilla hover and gaze at the kaiju. Godzilla immediately charges Kronos as he flies around Godzilla. Monarch learns that this Space Godzilla, Kronos, has magnetic powers and can hover and fly, not as fast as Gigan, but it is even more powerful and bigger than Godzilla. Godzilla tries to shoot it with his blast, but does not hit Space Godzilla and is deflected. Mechagodzilla is able to take down Gigan as Anguirus begins to keep Gigan busy. Space Godzilla calls to the Titans, and we see some of the kaijus take Space Godzilla's side, resuming his reign as Kronos, King of the Earth. The Monarch team learns that Space Godzilla is Godzilla's ancestor. A new civil war of kaiju breaks out as Godzilla struggles to find a way to defeat Space Godzilla. Finally, Kronos moves to confront Godzilla, as Monarch attempts to use portable Orca machines to calm the Titans. We go to Mark Russell, now one of the heads of Monarch, leading the investigation of Jonah's secret base located in the Arctic. They discover it is inside of an underwater ancient base. We learn that the story of the Hyperboreans were true after all. After some catastrophe hit Antarctica, human life moved north to a warmer climate. This continues the story from the end of Godzilla BC, with Ghidorahs freezing in Antarctica. We come to learn humans were losing their power source in search of new lands. We learn that about the Phoenicians who spread across the world and that there have been 4 eras of man. We also learn of otherworldly kaiju in other star systems. This is where we see Monarch fall into a trap inside this ancient facility and start a huge firefight as pieces of the ancient sanctuary start to close off. We return to Mechagodzilla, now moving to combat Kronos with the help of Godzilla. The mech has trouble targeting Space Godzilla and must use manual controls. Mothra is sent elsewhere by Monarch's Dr. Chen. Kronos slams Mechagodzilla with his tail as he blasts Godzilla down. It is here where Mechagodzilla is able to damage a crystal embedded in Kronos that seems to weaken him. Mechagodzilla loses control as Kronos begins to take control of the metal of the mech, disabling it. We see the Titan Caesar and Behemoth join the fight against Space Godzilla. Caesar shoots a long-range electrical beam to damage another crystal as Space Godzilla charges Behemoth. Godzilla chases after the floating Kronos, but it is too late to save Behemoth. Behemoth is grappled to the ground and burned by Kronos. Caesar jumps onto Kronos, attempting to hold him down for Godzilla, though Kronos uses a magnetic pulse to knock them both back. We see the pilots of Mechagodzilla make a final attempt to self-destruct on Space Godzilla as they set a timer. They eject as the metal around them begins to twist and warp. It destructs just near Space Godzilla, unable to penetrate a closer proximity to Kronos. Though Kronos was able to hold back Mechagodzilla, the blast radius was too big for him to anticipate. As the smoke clears, we see bloodshot eyes on and a damaged Kronos, enraged. He charges Caesar and knocks him to the ground, where Godzilla is able to grab hold of Kronos and push him towards the sea. Monarch is scrambling to aid Godzilla, but their air defenses do very little. Godzilla is being pushed back as we hear Anguirus' roar in the background. We see Anguirus jump in to fight Kronos. With the help of Anguirus, they are able to do some damage to Space Godzilla, but Anguirus is blasted by Space Godzilla's beam. Godzilla is able to make a last attempt and successfully tackle Kronos into the sea. Subs are sent in after Godzilla and Space Godzilla as we see light coming from these two massive bodies underwater. Plate tectonics shift slightly, causing several earthquakes nearby as water levels rise. We zoom in to see Godzilla slam Kronos into an active volcanic shaft. This shatters the gem in Kronos' head. Kronos blasts at Godzilla as he counterblasts Space Godzilla in return. Kronos begins to gain an advantage as human submarines shoot into Space Godzilla. Monarch is able to call on a final kaiju to help Godzilla. We see Leviathan arrive and grab onto Kronos as Godzilla blasts Kronos' arm off. Kronos slams his dorsal fins into Leviathan, cutting into her. Blood fills the water around them, and Godzilla tries to find Kronos. Unsuspecting, Kronos bites into Godzilla's shoulder as the two are locked in close combat. Godzilla swims and slams Kronos into the volcanic shaft again as they both break through and head beneath the mantle of the Earth. We continue the fight in the Hyperborean Sanctuary, where we gain knowledge of an impending alien kaiju invasion. Though it is not mandatory, we could hint a Pacific Rim crossover with this open, but back to the story. We find Alan Jonah with a hybrid kaiju using Ghidorah's DNA, and through it, defends himself against Monarch. Mothra is called in to fight the kaiju. She is evolved and has hardened wings. She is able to fly at supersonic speed to cut the kaiju in half. This kaiju then begins to heal and form Death Ghidorah with 4 legs and wings and grows in size. One of the Monarch officers discovers a weapon hidden in the base and attempts to use it on Death Ghidorah. Mothra is able to keep Ghidorah busy in this underground cavern while research is done on this weapon. Monarch, in a crunch, is able to unleash this weapon as it forms a surge of energy, and Ghidorah is sucked in as it closes behind it. Jonah surrenders as the Earth begins to extrude energy along its tectonic plates' edges. The energy is found emanating from the Pacific Ocean. This is in reference to the breach in Pacific Rim. I might make a Kong 2 outline from this point in the timeline, but doing a Destroy All Monsters with a potential Pacific Rim tie-in. Monarch begins repairs to Mechagodzilla as nothing appears for days after the battle. All monsters are called to Skull Island, now renamed to Monster Island. Gigan's body is recovered and disposed of. We hear murmurs in Monarch's command as Dr. Ling smiles and says Godzilla has won. Godzilla rises with Kronos' head in hand. He lands on Monster Island, where Mothra heals a severely damaged but victorious Godzilla. Monarch begins to prepare a series of mechs, now codenamed Jaegers. We see a glimpse of the first one, codenamed Jet Jaguar by its pilot. We roll to credits, and as the credits roll up, we get a first glimpse of a plant at the bottom of the sea rise from the volcanic shaft. We see plant-like limbs reach out as we hear a roar from the shaft, and the screen goes black, with the hinted Biolante's roar continued. This now sets up the next saga of Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters. Please let me know if you like the Pacific crossover or not. I could always exclude that or include it, or make separate pieces to have different versions. Which parts did you prefer? Which parts would you change? Or did you like it as is? This is the second draft. I didn't like the first draft, at least the second half of the first draft, and I had to re-go through it. And this I'm a little more comfortable with. There's always more outlines to come, so please let me know in the comments what you liked and what you didn't. Or feel free to request any outlines. Alright, this is Lord Commander Guts, aka Mike G, out.